to the 12th and final lesson of Piano Skills Foundation Intermediate Level 2. I hope you've been having a lot of fun with these lessons. They are quite a bit more difficult than Level 1 was. Intermediate Level 1 was a little bit easier. Hopefully you've been enjoying the challenge. The reading exercises in this last lesson, hopefully you'll enjoy them. You can always move on to memorizing them if you really like them. The last lesson here is going to be learning and memorizing completely and being able to play as a performance, possibly your Allegro Scherzando by Joseph Haydn. And so I hope you enjoy this final video and feel like you're ready to move on to intermediate level 3. Good luck with this. Okay, so as usual, we start with scales, arpeggios, cadence, and burlesque. I'm going to do the key of E flat since our reading exercise is in E flat as well as the relative minor. I'm going to put the metronome at 100. And just to remind you, at this point, you're in lesson 12. Hopefully, you're doing a lot more than just one key per day, but just to save time on the video, I'm just going to do one. Key of E flat today. Some arpeggios. Cadence. Little burlesque. And that was your Sakba in the key of E flat. Have fun with that. All right. So next thing on your list, as usual, the octave scales. I'm just going to do three. Let's just do two today. I'm obviously just trying to save time on the video, but as an example of your octave scales, I'm going to do the key of E and the key of A. You do as many as you can each time you play. If you're doing all of them at this point, that's awesome. It takes a little bit of endurance. Sometimes the hands aren't ready to go that many scales, but I'm just going to do two of them, show you again how to use your fourth fingers on the black notes. I'm going to go on to the key of A, where there's only 3 sharps. Of course, you could do many others, but that's how you do your octave scales. Have fun with those. All right, so the next thing on your list, major and minor triads. And now we're all the way up to 120 on the metronome. I'll do the blocking and then the rolling. Now the minors. missed one there, but you got the idea. I hope you have fun with those. All right, so the first reading exercise listed is called E-flat Musings. I'm going to just do the usual work on it. I'm going to start with the metronome at 60. As usual, I always have to remind you it's probably faster than you need to go when you first start. I just like you to hear the beat. When you first start, you don't even have to use any metronome. Just get to know it a little bit first. I'm going to play the right hand by itself at the beginning. 4 with the pedals down. 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's the right hand part. And of course, once you get that learned, the left hand goes like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then putting them together sounds like this. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and once you get 3 perfect on that, head on down to the second line. You know, the first line, of course, hopefully you're doing all that pedaling. You've been paying attention to pedaling all along. Second line, right hand by itself. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1. Okay, now watch those fingerings very carefully along here. The fingering that I have down, I think, works pretty well. If you want to change it, of course, you could do your own fingerings, but try to be consistent with whatever you choose. Left hand's turn. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And here they are together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. I just did the wrong fingering on the end here. Let me show you what I did. Well, what you should do. I'm not sure what I did. You can watch the video and see, but this is definitely a better fingering. Okay, so the one that's written on the page is the one you should do. Now, of course, once you get 3 perfect there, go put those 2 lines together. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the fourth line. I'm sorry, the third line. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Okay, and once you get that right hand learned, the left hand. Now, you'll notice that the left hand, I did not write the fingerings in on these 3 figures because it's the same as this. Just watch closely and learn the same fingering on all those same patterns. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Even this, the same fingering. 2, 3 and 4 and then back. Okay, so watch the fingerings, learn the left hand well. And of course, I have to remind you, we're going pretty fast. You can go a lot slower than this. I'm going to put them together here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2. Now I think I screwed up the left-hand fingering after I told you that, but anyway, you can get it right and play all 3 lines after you get your 3 perfect. Now I'm going to do the bottom line. Right hand by itself. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Change and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. you get that learned, the left hand goes like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and change and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, when you're doing it without the metronome, you can put the ritardando in there. I think I'll just stick with the tempo on the metronome since we're going slow anyway. Later, when I do the whole piece faster, I'll throw in the ritardando by just ignoring the metronome maybe. We'll see. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, off. Okay? So now, once you've got that 1, 3 perfect, you're ready to play the whole piece. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing at 60, and then I'll put it up at 100 and see what it sounds like. Here it is at 60. 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 So now somewhere along the line you're going to move it up and move it up and move it up. You might make it up to 100 if you stick with it long enough. You don't have to, but here's what it's going to sound like at 100. I'm actually going to turn the metronome off so that at the end I can do the slow down, I think, but we'll pick up the tempo here. It's and 1, 2, okay, I think I've got it. So here we go, about 100. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and a 3 and and that was E-flat Musings. That was about 100. Have fun with that. All right, so the second reading exercise in lesson 12 is called C minor on a roll. And on this one, I'm going to just practice it through phrase by phrase, right and left hand both, with a 69. I'm using kind of the traditional metronome reading, 69, because if you go 2 clicks at a time, you'll eventually end up at 108. But I'm going to play the right hand by itself. It's the top 2 notes of a C minor chord, you might notice. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Change pedal on 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1. Okay, so watch the fingerings closely. That's kind of fun. Play the left hand by itself. It just rolls a C minor chord to start with. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Change pedal on 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1. Now you'll notice I actually, if you go back and look at the video, I just did with the left hand. I did the wrong fingering on this. I put a 3 here. You are welcome to do a 3 or a 4. It just depends on everybody's hand. For some people, a 4 feels better. So for some people, a 3 feels better. So whatever you do, just try to be consistent. I wasn't very consistent because that time I did a 4. I did a 4 on the second one, but I did a 3 on the first one. It's up to you. All right, so now let's put them together. Once you get the right hand and the left hand learned, it goes like this. 1 and 2 and 3. ugly. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 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 1. And that was it. Now, once you get that 3 perfect, go on to the next line. Really watch the fingerings on all these sixths in the right hand. And 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. And then once you get that right hand learned, left hand. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Change. And 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Of course, you'll probably have to look down for some of these jumps. All right, now once you get that left hand learned, both hands together. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And then, of course, once you get your 3 perfect there, put these 2 lines together. But I'm going to move on to the third line where the right hand's just kind of rolling around on C minor. Thus the name of the song. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then G major and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. That's the right hand part, and of course we're going way too fast for if you're brand new at this. So that was just an example of what it sounds like, but you should go a lot slower. Left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I almost didn't see that. The 8 VA symbol underneath means you go down an octave. You saw I accidentally, I did one of these, but hopefully you understand. Now we'll put them together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 and 3. Okay, and then of course once you get your 3 perfect there, put all 3 lines together. And now I'm going to do the 4th line, right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 4 off. Now the left hand down an octave from where it's written. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 4 off. And put them together like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 4 off. Right? And of course, once you get your 3 perfect there, then the whole piece, I'm going to do the whole thing at 69, then I'll show you what it sounds like at 108. Here we are. 5-3 at the beginning. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 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 1 and 2 and So that was at 69. I'm going to go ahead and jump her up to 108, and then just I'm going to turn off the metronome so I can do a little bit of slowing at the end if I need to. But 1 and 2 and okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, Have a good time with that. All right, so for our last video practice on Allegro scherzando, I would like to show you how to review by practicing every single phrase, right hand, left hand, both. You still want to divide it up into hands separately because that's how you make sure you don't rely on just your tactile memory. You make sure your mind is still in there. So I don't think it would be good for you and me both for the video to be so long that I did every single phrase. So I've just chosen to do the last three phrases, kind of those could be the hardest ones. There are the newest ones, obviously. So it's also a good example of how to practice from the end forward. So I'm going to do the last line first, and then this, and then this, and then we'll leave you on your own to practice the rest. At the end, I'll play through the whole thing at 112 to show you our final product. But by practicing from the end forward, this is a really effective way of practicing. So I'm going to start at measure 38. This is the sort of the pickup notes to measure 39, and we're going to do hand separate practice. I'm going to put the metronome at a nice slow tempo. And then when we do our three perfects, we're going to move it up the dial every time. So we're going to go like this. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 2 1 2 1 2. And oh, by the way, I didn't know if I told you, I'm at 72 on that. So that's pretty fast. You can go slower still if you want, but I'm going to assume you've been working on it and are getting close to being able to play it this fast. Left hand by itself. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Pedal. 2 2 2. Okay, now I'm going to put them together on that. And this, we'll pretend this is our first perfect one. 1 1 and 2 and 1. So if we get one perfect, once you get that, then you move up your dial. A couple clicks on a normal metronome from 72 would be up to 80. I'm going to jump a little faster than and further than that, just as an example. You could use whatever numbers you want to work your way up. I'm going to go up to like 92. And we'll try that. Ready? Same spot. 1. So that was at 92, and if once you get your perfect there, you could work your way up. You could do many perfects, but I'm just going to do 3. And then the top speed for today is 112. So let's give this a try. Ready? 1. Okay, and then we're going to go through that same process with the previous phrase. So I'm going to put the metronome back down to where I started, which was 72. And I'm going to start with a pickup to measure 35. So the right hand by itself. 2 and 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. That's the right hand part. The left hand goes like this. And then with both hands, softly at the beginning. That we'll consider that our first perfect and go up the dial to 92 and do it again for our second perfect. Okay, and then the neat thing about practicing from the end of the piece and going forward is once you hit your final perfect one, today it's our third perfect, at the whatever top speed you want, then you can just keep on playing because we've already practiced. So I'm going to get hopefully my third perfect on this line and then keep on playing all the way to the end since we already did this line. Let's give it a shot. Okay, and then move it right back down to 72 and do the next line the same way. So now I'm going to do right hand, left hand both on this line, the pickup to measure 31, right hand by itself. Sorry about that. Okay, and that's the right hand. Then the left hand on that same part. I start with the second fingers. Okay, and then we'll try both hands. And once you get your first perfect one on that line, then we're going to go ahead and move up the dial and do another perfect one. You could just go your own distance. I'm going to go up 92. And then, of course, once you hit your top speed and however many perfects you want, then you can just play all the way to the end. So on my third perfect, I just get to keep on going since I've already practiced these two. Okay, so here we go. So I kind of made it a little bit of a goof here and there, but you get the idea. And you keep working your way through the entire piece like this, phrase by phrase, right, left, both, 3 or 4 or 10, however many perfects you want, and move your way up the dial. So now, just as a complete finishing touch on this piece in our final lesson of the intermediate level 2, I'm going to just play through the whole thing. And you know, I keep on listing this as a learn and memorize piece. So at this point, hopefully you have it memorized. I haven't been practicing it enough to really have it memorized myself right now. You probably guessed I'm kind of reading along during the videos, but if I were memorizing it, I would have done all the work that you've been doing, and it's ready to play all the way through. So I'm going to do a little bit of each, playing it from the beginning at 112, but I'm not going to let the metronome play all the way through because I want to be able to do a little bit of slowing here and there to make it a little more musical. And hopefully you've had a lot of fun learning this piece. Allegro Scherzando is a lot of fun to play. If you don't get it all the way up to that tempo, that's okay. Take whatever tempo you enjoy playing it at and have a good time.